And we're back here on KTN Prime talking about the Pope's visit to Kenya and indeed his message regarding the environment, wastage and conservation. Still here with Dr. Isaac Kalua, who's the chair of the Green Africa Foundation. Before we took a break, you were giving us your definition of green, which resonates with the Pope's as well. It's not just about trees, is it?
It's not about trees. Yeah. Green has three meanings to me, and this is very clear, and this is what we need to appreciate as Kenyans and also people all over the world. First, green is treating people kindly. This is about good ethics, is about treating people kindly, is about values. The second, green is working towards good health, peace within communities, and creating sustainable livelihoods. Then the third, green, is the passionate environmental conservation. So when I say always think green and act green, it encompasses all this, which I believe is the message that Pope brought home in a very, very cool manner.
How interesting is it that the Pope, the head of 1 billion Catholic faithful around the world, is a man who was chosen to embrace this message of, conserving our environment, of going green, if you like. What's the effect of that, do you think?
With over 1.2 billion Catholics, the message that Pope brings home is not only for those faithfuls, it touches on all the people world over. And I believe, God uses people to pass a message of his. And I believe this time he's using the Pope and many others who are unsung around and beyond our countries. And therefore, out of his experience, his lifestyle brings home the green message, where caring about people, caring and balancing issues of environment and our own issues, then brings home the message. Look at what he brought home. Some 4 areas that I may look at. Hazardous effects to the environment. So much so deep that leads to actual environmental refugees. We are talking of IDPs. We actually have such people who have been led to such a position deliberately out of our negative effects of environment. The second thing that he raised, which is very important, is about rich countries dealing with environmental issues with the same manner that they deal with other issues. I want to see my good friend, ambassador of the US, Godek, dealing together with the British ambassador in the same manner that they've been dealing with environmental issues to be dealt with and pushed with, just like terrorism is in these areas. Going also to third area, which is on being creative, being God's image. Talking about salvation, it's like we actually also need green salvation, because we have committed so much in this country. We cannot be a country that is crying of environmental effects when we are the best in exporting charcoal in the region. Actually, in Africa, we are a leading country in export of charcoal. This is happening truly every single day. The other day, just 2 days ago, sandalwood being exported and people taking it out, and this is only one that has been found. There must be so many, and we have responsible officers from KFS, we have responsible officers from the police units who are seeing this happening every time. We also have other issues dealing with the building in the wetlands. When we have our own conscience and dealing with issues that we must deal with. But finally, about the Pope's message, we must not just deal with posterity issues, but also immediate issues. Water is a challenge. We need to deal and provide clean water, and we must take action today that can resonate with what we are actually looking forward. Balancing development and so many issues
absolutely.
In this case.
Water, you say, and access to clean water is definitely a challenge in this part of the world. Now, this brings me to the question of wastage, because many a time when we see heavy rains like we're experiencing at the moment, which, by the way, is such a great coincidence that he's visiting Kenya and indeed Africa at a time when we're going through the El Nino weather effects. And many say, look, we're wasting all of this water. And this is something that the Pope has addressed in great deal, wastage. And it's at all levels.
Yes. Let me not even start with what every Kenyan would think of wastage. And you see, most of the times we are pointing a finger to the other person, not knowing that it is our own responsibility to deal with issues. Talk about wastage. Yesterday, I thank God I had the opportunity of attending the function at State House where we were invited. And I looked at one of the simplest things that you would not even imagine. This was the presidential program.
Okay.
When you look at it, it's printed by our government printer.
Yeah.
It has 12 good pages, but printed on it is only 4 pages. That includes the cover page. And everything else is just in 4 pages. What would be the motivation to have 4 pages printed on 12 pages? One, maybe you want to have so many papers so that the money can be made in one way or another.
Right.
But we just need to be efficient. This is all that we need to be on how to maintain and to deal with these issues. So everybody is a culprit in this situation. This is not where you point at the president. This is not where you point at the county government. County governments are doing a lot of efforts. In fact, some of the times it is the individuals in those places that are letting this down. We have water that must be taken care of. We are complaining of El Nino in as much as it is messing up. We are complaining of people who have misappropriated funds for El Nino or something that needed to be done. But we also need to look at the advantage. How much water are we saving? And very soon you're going to see people with donkeys traveling for 5 kilometers, yet water was just readily available. Wastage is at so many levels that we need to start taking responsibilities and understand as a country what we need to do. Talk about Mau Forest. Talk about all the water towers that I am part and parcel of leading this. We have government officers in all these places. People are not taking responsibilities that they should be able to take. And I want to particularly thank His Excellency the President. Very recently, a team of adults, African male adults or women, sat together and say that we want to create a buffer within the region of Mau Forest and create a buffer of 100 meters by about 50 kilometers, clear all the forests of indigenous and plant tea in those areas. I thank His Excellency the President because he did not go to endorse that project because it is a catastrophe. We are clearing our forests, indigenous forests, trees that have grown for hundreds of years, and someone with his own mind just goes to cut down the trees without thinking about the future.
Okay.
So wastage is experienced at all levels.
At all levels.
And we must confess.
Yeah.
And then, because this was a national prayer day, confess and start afresh, knowing that I am responsible. Who is the government? The government is me and you.
Yeah.
We must not point at other people who are said to be in power.
Okay, I just have about a minute to go, and we do want to mention you are the chair of Honda Kenya. What was that moment like for you seeing the Pope? Did you know that he was going to ride in a Honda? And have you experienced any, takers for the Honda now?
Yes, bring us home. The issue of driving is driving green.
Yeah.
Why should you use a vehicle that can only use about 10 kilometers for a liter? Use a green vehicle that will give you a short, fewer fuel for a long distance. And I think that's the message, more than just how glad I was as part and parcel of Honda, because the vehicle, we sold it to Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It's called a Ballard. It uses 15 to 18 kilometers per liter. It's a green car. So I think the message, more than anything else, is that let us drive green. Let us pool vehicles together. When you're living with your neighbor, drive with them to work when you have to do that. Use common transport. And I think that's the message that the Pope is passing.
All right, so how many inquiries have you gotten since yesterday?
Many. Actually, I think about more than 20 vehicles now people are coming to buy out of that. Motorcycles, the same. Because it's about the brand and it's about the message
well done.
we can do.
Well done. And indeed, just talking about wastage. And thanks very much for sharing your views with us, Dr. Isaac Kalua, who's the chair of the Green Africa Foundation and also the chair of Honda Kenya, talking to us about the environment and how we're conserving it and how that resonates with the Pope's message, not just here, but indeed across the world. We thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.